I'm Christine Vartanian, and this is the Waist Up Wardrobe Podcast, Episode 3. Have you ever been in a virtual meeting and you felt like you're talking to somebody that was like in the witness protection program? It was just like a black figure with a human silhouette. Well, that has everything to do with lighting. And today's topic is everything you need to know about lighting. Listen, you don't want to be left in the dark when it comes to your Zoom room, okay? So if you want to know how to show up in your best light and the tools that you can have for lighting, stick around and I'm going to show you and tell you in just a minute. Welcome to Waist Up Wardrobe. I'm Christine Vartanian, an attorney turned personal style expert and image consultant. As the founder of Jade for All Seasons, I am passionate about unveiling the inner confidence of my clients by developing their personal style and dressing them for success. But is getting dressed up still important in our virtual world? Well, that's where my experience can help with what I call Waist Up Wardrobe. Waist Up Wardrobe is a podcast for all things you need to conduct an outstanding Zoom meeting. It's about how to dress for the camera, but it's not just about the clothes. It's about everything you need to know to show up on brand and professionally on camera. Join me in the Waist Up Wardrobe studio to discuss how to navigate this virtual world and dominate from behind the desk. Hi, Virtual Nation. I'm so excited you're here. Remember, this is a live Facebook podcast, live stream and podcast, and I want to interact with you. I want your comments and your questions because I want to help you create that great virtual studio that you can live stream for or conduct all your conferences from. And you know what? The virtual world is here to stay. It's not going anywhere soon. And you know what? If you are engaging with your with the people on virtually, you want to be able to see them and you want the lighting to be really good. It's like being in a conference room live and not making eye contact if you're not actually engaging in the right light. So today we're going to talk about that. And we have a very special guest with us today. The special guest is my producer for my live streams, and he is also somebody who I rely on so heavily for the technology and really helping me create an optimum virtual setting and Zoom room. So I'd love to introduce Rick Moscoso. He is always here and always behind the scenes, my tech genius, I call him. And Rick, Rick has so many gifts. But Rick is an expert in really getting people comfortable and really well adjusted behind the camera, whether it's for video or for live stream or for their regular virtual work day. Okay. Rick used to be for 20 years he used to be in the corporate world doing in the healthcare industry in sales and marketing. So he had 20 years of that experience before he created his own company, Captivate 365. He grew up in Wisconsin and moved to California in 1992, where he lives with his family, his 3 children, and his wife Tammy, where they celebrated 30 years of marriage just not that long ago. And Rick has so much experience doing live stream for his clients. He live streams with his clients on so many different topics, including food, cooking, lawyering, real estate, and horology. He'll have to explain to us what horology actually is. But I think that's pretty cool because he gets to learn so much from his clients, as do his clients from him. Welcome, Rick. How are you today?
Hey, Christine. I am doing great. And in the spirit of the show, I do have my hat, okay? Waist Up Wardrobe hat. But because of some of the lighting examples that we're going to talk about today, I didn't wear it so you could see the difference between my dark hair and some of the background stuff. So I just want to acknowledge that I do have it. I'm just not wearing it today.
All right. Well, you know what? I forgot to mention that he is a key expert in my live streaming broadcast. He produces my show as well. Of course, the Waist Up Wardrobe show. As always, I want Waist Up Wardrobe, the podcast, to become a tool for my audience that wants to build this outstanding studio and really dominate from behind the desk. So every episode is designed to build one on top of the other. In other words, if you were out to start a live stream broadcast or even do your work virtually in the corporate world, this is designed to take you through every level of checklist, everything you need for that. So today it's all about lighting, right? But it's also designed, so you'll learn about lighting and what to wear, what not to wear, hair, makeup. We're going to talk about skin because that's a Waist Up feature as well, and everything technological and related to technology that goes into it as well. Everything in this rectangle is also designed that if you wanted to just learn just about lighting, you can go and listen just to that episode and you can learn about that alone. So I just want this to be a hub for all my listeners. And I also want there to be this feeling that this is a live community. It's a live Facebook page where we can banter and take questions and really, really answer all your questions. So I'd love to just say that, you know, with Rick here, he is my first interviewee of the Waist Up Wardrobe podcast. And I wanted to set everybody up with this great foundation when it comes to lighting. And so I asked Rick to get on and answer, you know, the most asked questions when it comes to what lights do I use? How do I light my space? Okay. So I just want to start out. I know I introduced Rick briefly with his bio, but Rick, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background?
Well, I think you pretty much covered it. I do a lot of things behind the camera. In fact, I prefer to be behind the camera, although every once in a while I do have to be in front of it. And, you know, I've always been taught that to me is a basic principle of why I do what I do. And that is, if I can make a client or a person look good in front of the camera, that satisfies me, because then I've done exactly what I've set out to do. So I'm happy and glad to be able to help Christine in being a fixture in the background, you know, helping with the production of her broadcast. And so it's a lot of fun. I get a lot of satisfaction from it. And hopefully there's others out there that I can help as well.
Yeah, well, I understand that journey of the entrepreneur, that the work that you do gives you reward. And I really have to give you credit, Rick. I mean, from the inception of my business, you've really, really been sort of that infrastructure of technology for me, whether it was video or marketing or branding or really, and just your ideas and your experience have really brought a wealth of growth in my main company, Jade for All Seasons, and now Waist Up Wardrobe. So I thank you for that. Just diving right into the lighting topic, okay?
Yeah.
I think something that people don't really think about is that how important it is to be in a well-lit environment. And when I say well-lit, I don't mean like bright. I mean the right light. Could you tell us how important that is in our new virtual world?
Well, just like anything else that you see visually, image is everything. And so if you are kind of a lazy streamer or a lazy type of person in front of the camera, not to be mean or anything, but if lazy meaning that maybe you're not as aware as you should be in how you're lit in front of the camera, it's a very important thing, especially when you're talking to a client or a peer. Because there's a certain sense of professionalism that you want to portray on camera, because they'll remember. And if you're somebody that is in front of the camera that's promoting a service or a product or something, like, you know, anything like that, the way you look in front of the camera kind of really translates into the quality of your brand. So make sure that you make that a priority when you're doing that.
Yeah, you know, that is so like aligned with Waist Up Wardrobe and everything that my live stream is about and this podcast is about, because what I do has so much to do with how you brand yourself, right? Everything that you do, everything you say, everything you write, all the content you put out there, your video, your website, the way you dress, what you say, and how you show up. Everything that all those pieces go into creating that image that people know you by. And it is sort of the language of your brand. So what you said is right on. It's so aligned with what I do here at Waist Up Wardrobe for our audience. But do you think just like focusing on lighting, do you think that people might be less likely to watch a live stream or a show if and we're just kind of speaking about live streams now, but you know, we apply this to every area of the virtual world. Do you think they're less likely to watch or listen if the lighting is off, especially if you look like you're in the witness protection program in your company?
Well, you just certainly don't want to make bad lighting the subject of the viewer, put that into the viewer's mind. I mean, if it's grossly inadequate or bad, all they're going to be thinking about, regardless of what you're saying, is, geez, look how bad that light is. I mean, what were they thinking, type of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is important. People ignore it just because they're just so used to popping on the computer and just start FaceTiming or something similar to that it really isn't front of mind, which it should be if you're a brand, right?
Totally. And you know what? That is precisely the thing. I think we're still not as a world actually used to being virtual 90% of the time, whether it be work or even for social functions, because it's so new to us in 2020. And people are less aware that those things matter. So Waist Up Wardrobe is really designed to help people become more aware of it, and then give them solutions of how to solve the problems with lighting and everything else that goes into a great podcast. So, so here's the thing: when you got me started designing my studio lighting, you had me take an inventory of what my space looks like, of my windows, what lighting's already coming in, how I can block lighting, how I can kind of steer lighting in certain directions, which I think is so cool. And you got me started, and you gave me ideas of how to get started. Mm-hmm. So what would be your advice for like the viewer or somebody listening to this podcast as to where to start when it comes to trying to really focus in on getting that great studio lighting that has high impact?
Yeah, that's a great question. And people get confused and kind of stuck on where to start. And to me, it's like a canvas, right? A blank canvas.
Yeah.
In my case, it's a dark canvas, because in a perfect world and setting up a studio, you kind of want to start with a dark canvas and then layer the light on top of that, right? So you would first start with lighting yourself. And I'm in my studio here, I've got 3-point lighting set up, and we'll go over that in a little bit. But I do have over here to my left, I have a key light, and to my right, I have a fill light that fills in some of the shadows. So you can see how I'm kind of blocking that. And that gives me the front light. Now for Christine, she has a ring light that's directly behind the camera that illuminates her from the front. And so if anything, that's really the most important light in lighting yourself in the scene. Once you have that down to an acceptable look that you think makes you look good, then we can talk about other lighting behind you or around you. But for me, what I do, like you can see this shade here over to my left in my office. I get direct sunlight from about 10 to 2 o'clock that comes through here. And so you don't see any light leaks over here. It's because I have black foam core board that I've put over the entire window to black out this room. And so I don't get any disruptions from really bright light coming through. So I have full control of how I light my set and how I light my office and myself.
Yeah. No, I think that is really, that was, I think, the trickiest thing about really fashioning my studio to do the right thing with light, because like you mentioned, I'm just going to summarize this for the audience. I have a ring light in front of me, in front of my computer, that is lighting my face area. And we've had to play with that a lot. I mean, we went from orange light to yellow light to blue light, and trying to adjust to all that to get the right coloring. But also, one of my challenges in my room was I have this great big French door on this side of me right here. And as you can see, it's a little bit yellow, but my curtains are closed. But that was a source of a lot of bright light, which tend to make me look overexposed. And we really had to block that to some degree. I mean, it's still a little bit bright, but not like it would be if those curtains were open. But I had to close those, like you blocked your window there. And then I had to play with all this other light. But the one thing that was key, I think, was the ring light that I'm front lit with. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And the whole trick behind that is to have it in a position that's at least eye level. The center, you're looking right at the center of the dot or of the ring, or slightly above. Actually, slightly above would even be preferred if you can.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm going to bring up this comment here from Kristen Levine. She has windows in her Zoom room, but they don't provide much light, which is okay. I use a ring light, but I find that the results aren't always consistent. Yeah. So that could be attributed to a couple of things. And one of the things that you can do is depending upon if you're using a Mac or PC, you need an app that also complements your webcam, where you can do lighting control from that app to control your lights. So if, like for Christine, we have her ring light turned almost off. It's
right.
maybe one click up, and if she reached out, it would just be beyond her reach slightly. So distance from you will play a factor on how you look. The strength of the light will also play a factor on how you look. So it's you have to kind of experiment with it and find that sweet spot, and then also get the app that you can control the camera with, because there's other things like color temperature, which we're going to get into. You don't want to look too yellow. You don't want to look too blue, because other lights in the room can influence how you look. Right now, you're just focused on how you look, the color. Is your camera representing the same color skin tones that it should be? And then we can work on everything else.
Absolutely. And so we're going to be talking about the app, and we're going to be giving you links in the comments, a bunch of links actually, to get you those basic tools that you need to get the basics that you need to get to make your room look great. So we're talking about these tools, and we won't forget to do that. We do want you guys to have that at your fingertips. So interesting that you said that, because I found that it was such a huge trial and error process, right? The first time I got into my studio and I started my live streaming and actually being in a virtual conference, I felt like I was too yellow. And then I had to adjust it on my ring light. But I also had the option of going into the actual computer. There is a feature. Is it a feature, or is it an app that we get there that can help you adjust?
Yeah, it's an app. Usually it's an app for the webcam that you're using.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of that same control for the inboard or the onboard camera that may be on your laptop or on your computer. But if you have a high quality, or if you can get a high quality webcam, like Christine and I are using the Logitech C920s. They are really good high res cameras, and on the website, on the Logitech website, they have an app that can control the things that we're talking about, like color temperature and some of the exposure settings.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that's like it basically what it is for our audience members is, you know how like when you go into Instagram to post something and you have this option of going in to edit your picture and you can change the brightness and the temperature and the saturation. Mm-hmm. You have the similar features on an app that you can use with the camera that at least we're using. And I'm sure there are other options out there. Don't you think, Rick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about light sources. I mean, I've heard so many light sources spoken about. There's front lighting that we just spoke about. There is wall lighting, there is head lighting, and there is back lighting. I mean, it can be really overwhelming and confusing if somebody is really determined to get that great look that you see a lot of times with gamers. They have these awesome lights. But can you tell us a little bit more about the differences between front lighting, back lighting, head lighting, and all that?
Sure. Yeah. To make it simple, I mentioned before that I use 3-point lighting, and that's a basic technique for lighting in photography as well as photography as well as video, right? Or even live streaming. So we just bring that to the set. I'm lit by 2 LED light panels, one slightly stronger than the other, because if you look on this side of my face, the light here is a little bit stronger than over here, and that's done on purpose to add a little bit more depth to the way I look, right?
Yeah.
If you only have one, that's fine. These 2 lights are about 45 degrees from me and slightly above. In fact, let me give you a behind the scenes look at what that looks like. I have my phone set up as another secondary camera. And so you see that over here is my key light. It's slightly stronger.
Rick, we have a black screen. I don't think the viewer can see.
Oh, you can't see that?
No.
Hold on a second. It's thinking.
It's thinking. So this is perfect for the person who's visually looking at our live stream. But of course, for the audio, podcast, it's we want to be descriptive, right? But thank you for that. This is a great tool when it gets going here.
How's that? Are you seeing it now?
Now.
You're not seeing it now.
See, this is the technical difficulties that happen when you are on live, and it happens. You know, what's something really interesting just for the audience is I have a business coach, right? And she is so great at teaching you that something will go wrong when you're live. It's not always smooth. There you go. Bingo.
Okay. I'm going to leave it like this because the 3-up, but you can see over here is my key light. It's slightly stronger and illuminates the left side of my face. Over here, I actually have the panels closed a little bit and I have it dimmed down to a minimal power. And this is my fill light. So it's slightly, if you look at my face, it's slightly darker than over here. And those are the two main lights that I have that illuminates me. If you only have one light, that's fine.
Yeah.
You can put that slightly off axis from center to achieve a very similar look where you have a strong light coming here and then it just kind of falls off the side of your face. It just adds depth to how you look. Behind,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. And then behind me, if I tilt this up a little bit, you see a hair light, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is another element that I have on my set. It actually adds separation between the dark background and my dark hair back there. So you can see you can see the reflection on my chair, which kind of comes over here in my head. And if the back wasn't so high, you'd see separation here on my shoulders. But that just helps to add some dimension to the look. That helps offset a dark background. Like for Christine, because her background is so vivid, a hair light or a rim light like that would help a little bit, but not really. We don't need to add so much definition to her because she does have a little bit of light coming from her French doors that are outlining the side of her hair. If you can see that, it adds some definition. So in the best case, 3-point lighting works great. If you don't have the 3 lights, that's okay. 2 lights are good. And if you don't have the 2 and you only have one ring light, slightly off axis and a little bit high would be fine because you have that light that just will softly disperse over you. Just don't use anything that represents a spotlight and don't use anything that represents a table lamp because that's where we get into problems with skin tones and why do you look so yellow in front of the a table lamp or something like that? Because each type of lamp has a different color signature to it. Okay?
Yeah.
Most people in a house will have daylight lamps, which tend to be, this is really technical, but I'm just going to say it once, has a Kelvin temperature of about 5,600 degrees, which translates to a very warm, very yellow, reddish hue. And then if you go to Home Depot and you look for these white cool lights, right? Those tend to be a little bluer, more natural, and about 32 to 3,600 Kelvin, which gives that softer, more natural look and not so yellow in influence.
Yeah.
And so when you're trying to buy lights for the house, if you don't have any LED lights, maybe the best thing to do is just go out and buy, the cool white lights to replace in your space to help, recolor your room and your skin tone, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, you know what's so interesting is that when you first got me started and I was struggling so much with all the sources of light coming into my room, I kept thinking about the definition of darkness, right? Mm-hmm. Darkness, the definition of darkness is the absence of light. And I kept thinking, if I just had a black room, how easy would that be, like you said, as a canvas to just kind of layer the lights, right? So if somebody has their space is more of like a basement room and it's super dark, not to worry, right? Because that actually is an optimal condition for kind of setting yourself up for the right light, don't you think?
Yeah, that's a great place to start because then it's an open canvas on how you color yourself, right? And how you light yourself. It depends on the ambiance that you're looking for, and maybe the brand that reflects you. I have a couple of examples. Can I bring these up,
Yes,
Christine?
please. I'd love to see them. And if you could just describe them for our listeners.
Yeah. So these are a bunch of online talents that do different things, different industries. We have Nick Nimmons, who is a YouTube influencer. He teaches everything about how to optimize and promote your business on YouTube. He's actually in, I think, in Thailand, but he broadcasts from a very, very dark studio, I think in his basement. And all he has back here to light himself is he's got one ring light that's kind of a little bit off center of him. And then he has these really subtle hints of light on the curtains, assuming it's probably covering his wall. Of course, and then the stormtrooper mask in the background. But that's kind of his mantra, and that's his look. You know, he's very minimalistic. Then we have Benji Travis, who is a video influencer, right? He talks about similar things as Nick does, but his set is interesting because it's in a large garage. He painted this wall a grayish color, and then he has Hue lights, Philips Hue lights, which I'll show you in a minute, back here behind a couple of the pictures, and then I think he also have a couple of light bars, which is the bluish hint by his arms. But illuminating him are two ring lights from either side. So he has a really nice lighting, and then he layers the background to match his brand. Here's one of my favorites, because I'm kind of a gamer geek in the eyes of my son, who's a big gamer. This guy is Harris Heller, and he's a young guy. He's been gaming for years, but this is in one of his spare bedrooms. And you can see he's illuminated from the front really, really well, right? He's got, again, two ring lights that are slightly off, probably at 45s from each other and slightly high. He also has these, you see these, I can't point to them, but there's these rectangular light panels. One of them's on, one of them's off. These are the Elgato key lights. These are gaming lights, and they produce this nice soft light, but he uses those as backlights or hair lights or rim lights to separate him from the background. And then, of course, to the sides of him are these light bars. These are LED light bars that illuminate the red and the blue in his room. So that's kind of his gaming look that he has. And then you can go with more of a minimalistic look. This is Casey Morris, who's a teacher, young teacher, and she teaches people how to create curriculums for homeschooling and different things like that. So she has a very minimalistic look. She has two ring lights that really illuminate her as well as the rest of the room. The room is pretty evenly lit. And then, of course, she has this little LED globe. I'm not exactly sure what brand that is, but the thing sitting on the rack where her folders are. So it's a very minimalistic look that lights up the room. Nothing, as dramatic as the other three examples that I showed you. But those are some of the things that you can do. But the thing that's in common with all four of these people is that they focused on lighting themselves first, right? Mm-hmm. Once they have that down, then you can add layers behind you to add to the look, to add to, to enhance your brand and those types of things.
Yeah. And so that is, if somebody just wanted a start point, the focus would be to light yourself, right? To get that one light that you can put in front of you to light yourself, and then layer on the other lights. Kristen Levine here is asking, this color that you just touched on behind me. She can see the lilac color I have behind me, and let me do some magic because I can. Let me show you how that can actually change. This is a Philips Hue light that we just touched on, and you can change this. Here I'm going to blue. And there I'm at green, and then it gets a little yellow, which I try and stay away from because I don't want to look yellow. But here we go, red, and I'm back to this sort of purple light. And I think the viewers are interested to know how they can achieve that. And it is so much simpler than one might think, right, Rick?
Oh yeah, I mean the advent of these Hue lights or any LED lights that can do millions of different color combinations are amazing. We started seeing these used in landscape design in houses. And then, with the advent of Alexa and all that stuff, lighting control apps that control the LED lights around the house. And now, with the help and creativity of these gamers, they brought that into the studio. And now we as broadcasters or live streamers, we have that in our studio as well. So Christine has this Philips Go light, which is basically a half a globe. And it's, there you go.
This.
Yeah, and it's battery. It's actually you can take it portably. It's battery powered, and it goes over the internet through a little device called the Philips Bridge, and you can control it via the app on your phone or mobile device, and it's great because you can be so creative. Your set can have different looks to it depending upon your mood, the holiday, you can just be really super creative with it.
Yeah, if you're feeling blue, hopefully never. You can be blue. If you're feeling green, you can be green. And I love that feature. And it's really easy to get. And we will be putting in the links at the end of the broadcast on the page, on the Facebook page, for you to be able to go directly to Amazon to purchase these, because we just try to make it really easy for you, so have everything at your fingertips. But one thing before we move forward, I just want to remind everybody, stay on the broadcast until the very end, because Rick has a really fun giveaway for everybody that stays live on the broadcast until the end. So do you think, Rick, that size of the room is crucial to getting great lighting, or does it really matter at all?
No, let me get to that in a second. I wanted to address this comment. And I'm sorry, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce your first name. Christine, can you help with that?
Oh, the comment that's up is Luz.
Okay. So Luz is asking, is it okay to use LED strip lights around the room during a Zoom call?
Yeah.
In general, yes, as long as they're not distracting. You just don't want it to be distracting to the viewer. You can use them as ambient lights, just like Christine has the Go light. I also have, because we didn't talk about this, I have the Philips light bars back here. Let me move back. Okay. So
can you show? They're just like sticks, right? They're like wands.
I'll bring them out in a second. They are very similar technology. Their LED lights are controlled from an app, and I'm going to try not to blow you guys out with it. Hold on. Hold on a second. I'm kind of tethered with all these wires, but this one is lights my wood background, and it's basically this, right? Yeah. Can you see that?
Yeah, we can.
It's a stand-up bar. It can be mounted like this. It can be mounted horizontally. They are meant for basically anything. Where I see these being used a lot are behind the TV. You can also do LED lights behind the TV, but you get that cinema look when you're watching a movie or something like that, but they'll put it there. But basically these are just the light bars that I put behind me to illuminate the background.
You know what I love about them is that with these tools, these Philips Hues lights, you can actually look so professional on camera during your live streams or your video conferences. I just feel like it takes it to the next level, and they're pretty simple to use and easy to acquire, and they're not very expensive. I mean, they're all like in the range of $50 to $70. So it really is. They are very easy to acquire. Then the other one is, so we covered the wands and the globe, but there's also the little leaves, or what are they called? The little triangles?
Oh yeah, leaf lighting.
Leaf lighting, yeah.
Yeah, those are interesting. They're a little bit more expensive, but you can be super creative with those. You can pull it up on Google it, and basically they are little 4x4 light panels that you can configure in any shape. They connect with they snap in with each other, but you can basically, make any type of pattern behind you and add to them as many lights as you want, and it's controlled through an app. You can have them solid or actually slowly transition to another color. And through some other technology, if you're a YouTuber, you can actually have them react to someone who subscribes while you're on live. So that's a little bit more advanced stuff, but it's amazing some of the things you can do with the technology out there of lighting.
Yeah, and you know what? Hang on during this live stream until the end, because everything that Rick is actually sharing with us, there's like these follow-up questions that you might think about later, and there's an opportunity to learn more about the lighting and actually your personalized situation and your actual room as we get near the end. So the thing is, we are going to put all those links in the Facebook page, right, Rick? Including the leaf lighting, including all those things, so that you can have everything listed for you, and then you can go directly and pick and choose what you want, and even reach out to Rick to see if he can help you figure out placement and all that stuff. Is there a question that I did not ask you, Rick, about lighting that you think is critical for you to convey to our audience today about lighting?
No, not really. I mean, just don't be intimidated by it. Think about it from a very simplistic standpoint. And that's really the main thing, is you want to light yourself properly. So your face, you look good, your presence looks good in front of the camera. Then everything else is secondary. It doesn't matter if it's black behind you, as long as you're lit really good and you look well lit, then, that's really the main place to start.
Right. And you know what? My advice to the viewer, because I tended to do this. I mean, Rick for a long time has been trying to convince me to live stream, because my business is so visual and there's so much content that can help people and be hands-on information that is easy to put right into action. But I was kind of, my perfectionist quality or drawback, I should say, kind of stopped me from doing that. I wanted the perfect light. I wanted the perfect setting. And I think the biggest advice that both of us can leave you with, because I've experienced this and Rick is really an expert on this, is just start. Get that first light, that front light, and just start and start setting up your studio and then just perfecting it. Actually, I think we still are. I still have little quirks and things I want to add and change in my lighting situation. Okay, are you guys getting ready for the giveaway soon? Okay, before we do that, remember, there's two things that you have to pay attention to right now. Is I'm going to have you put into the chat box hashtag light and smile, so that you can get the giveaway that Rick is giving you today. But and you can go ahead and do that now if you wish, but because we have something really great to share with you, and you're going to want it, because it's basically concentrated focus expertise customized just for you and your business, or for you in your personal life. So you don't have to have a business to do this, but the hashtag is hashtag light and shine. And Rick, before we start going into the wrap up, could you give us a quick tour of your studio?
Oh, sure. Let me see what the best way to do that is. So you saw behind the scenes, this is the back of my studio. And one of the things, there you go. Did it come up?
No, not yet.
Yeah, it's popping on and off. That's tech for you.
Yeah, I know. That's the biggest challenge for me personally, because I'm like, everything has to be on time and it has to be perfect. But when it comes to technology, I found that I have no control. And you know what? That's why I have you, Rick.
Yeah, I know. That's funny, because I can see it on one camera, but I don't see it on this one. Do you see it?
I don't. But okay. I just want to share something with the audience as you try and get it up, is that I think as every entrepreneur, wouldn't it be amazing to have a tech genius following you wherever you go? And like anybody you could call at any moment and say, hey, my computer's stalling. Hey, my internet's down. Hey, I don't know why I'm not being able to turn on the volume. You know what? That's who Rick has been for me in my business. I just wanted to say that. But
yeah, I don't see it coming up, but here's what I can do.
Yeah.
I'm going to really quickly take this camera off.
Okay.
So I can show you what this looks like. One of the things that you asked is, you really need a big space in order to use as a streaming location, right?
Uh-huh.
The space that I have isn't very big. It's only maybe 8 by 10.
Uh-huh.
It's a small little office, small little bedroom that I turned into an office. And so think about it this way. The only space that you really need to see is the space that's in this little rectangle. Everything else can be messy. And of course, I can attribute to that, because everything that's out of camera range right now is really messy.
That's right.
So let me just turn this camera on. You guys saw that's my primary light over here. Got a bunch of paintings or pictures of my kids. And then there's the other fill light. And
yeah,
then,
so those are the two lights coming off to the side, either side of your face, right? The 45 degree. Okay.
That's
okay.
correct.
Uh-huh.
And if I swing around, this is actually my mic arm.
Uh-huh.
You can see there. The window is blacked out pretty much, as far as there's a little light leak at the top, but it's pretty blacked out. I have a little background wood thing in the back. You can see the hair light. Oh, here's something I didn't point out before. So the black background that I have here is actually not the wall. It's a black piece of photography paper, black roll of photography paper that I put on here. The wall color, let's see, the wall color is actually this little kind of a grayish thing. And I wanted to experiment around with this black light or black wall so I could light paint it a little bit. But the only problem is it really absorbs the light and doesn't reflect it very well, because my Philips Hue lights back there are on full blast and I don't see them, at least the one that's on the black, and it's not as apparent as much. And of course you can see my C stand that's holding the hair light. Hair light, yeah. And then of course behind me, let me just move out of the way. I have the light bars that are standing on a footstool or a ladder. Yeah. So again, whatever you don't see in the camera is okay, as long as you don't see it on the camera.
That's right. Everything in the rectangle is what we talk about at Waist Up Wardrobe. As long as you got that dialed in, you're good, right? Okay. So thank you for that tour, and thank you for coming, on to share your wisdom about really great studio lighting. And we always end Waist Up Wardrobe with a Waist Up Wardrobe weekly wrap up, and that is your takeaways, your tips, your tools, and the action pieces that can put you right into action. Rick, could you quickly give us the rundown of the biggest, most important takeaway, and also the some tips and the tools and how our audience can acquire the Philips Hue lights and all these other things. And finally, if you could just tell us some action items so we can spring everybody right into action to get their studio well lit.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I wanted to thank Amani. She hashtag light and shine. So we'll be in contact for your consultation. And again, if you are just jumping onto the live stream, for anyone that puts in the hashtag light and shine, I will give you a 20-minute consultation on how to improve your lighting in front of the camera. So go ahead and drop that in the comment box.
Yeah. Okay. Anna, you would love to have that because you said your husband's doing a lot of live streaming or virtual work, and I'm sure, and you were asking about lighting last time you were on. So drop in hashtag light and shine, because honestly, like, this is one of the best gifts you'll ever get on Waist Up Wardrobe. Go ahead, Rick.
And if it's for your husband or friend, go ahead and drop that in, because I'll be happy to help them out as well. So don't be afraid. Type in hashtag light and shine. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So let's finish up with a little bit of a review on some of the top tips for this segment. So remember, if you don't have LED lights, soft natural lighting is really the best. And what we really didn't get into that whole lot, but if you are broadcasting or streaming or Zooming by a window, you can use the light coming through the window as long as it's not direct sunlight. You can use that to illuminate your face, as long as you are facing in general you're facing the window and the window shining the light on you. Okay. Yeah. So use that natural light.
Would you say that's your major takeaway, Rick?
That would probably be my major takeaway. If you don't have access to LED lighting, is use a soft natural light source to light you. One of the things, let me just give you another tip. One of the things I see people do is they'll actually, if they have a large window off to the side, and they don't have, LED lights that they can use to illuminate themselves, I've seen them use semi-opaque paper or even a bed sheet, right, to put in front of the window, which softens the light coming to your face. And that's a really good way to utilize that light coming through the window.
So I love these makeshift tools, right, to create that super professional studio. This is where this is the life of an entrepreneur, being super creative to create, to make things happen, right? So that was a major takeaway. Give us like a quick couple of tips, really quick.
Okay, so soft light, if you don't have LEDs, avoid any blowouts or silhouette looks that you may not be aware of. You don't want to look like that witness protection guy, right? And you certainly don't want to have that spotlight look by a really strong light coming into your face.
Absolutely.
Try and avoid daylight bulbs, the ones that make you look yellow, and maybe exchange them in the room for white cool lights, something in the 32 to 36 Kelvin range. You can get those readily available at Home Depot or any hardware store. And the LED lights are even better because they tend to run naturally, not only cooler in temperature, but cooler to the touch. Okay?
Yeah. And the tools are going to be, the links will be all in our Facebook page, correct, Rick?
Yeah.
So those are what? Tell us about the Philips lights particularly.
Okay. So we have the tools. First is the webcam tools that will help you adjust the intensity or exposure and color of your webcam. So depending upon the webcam that you have, and if you have a question regarding those, I can answer those in the chat box. Go ahead and drop those in. You want to make sure that you get the app that helps you control the webcam that you have, so you have finer control of that. The links to all the gear that we talked about and probably a few more we'll drop those into the chat box after the episode, so you can always come back and take a look at those and see what those are. And then don't forget about the hashtag lighting and smile.
Yes. Any action for your 20-minute session with Rick to really get that lighting dialed into your studio. But how about action items?
Okay. So the first thing you want to do is really take an inventory and evaluate your space and what you look like in front of the camera. And what you could do is, if you can take a snapshot of how you look on a Zoom call, you can certainly send that to me. You can direct message me directly if you want, or email me at, here's how you email me. Yeah. Sure.
We want to know how to reach you, Rick.
Yeah, you can email me at rick@captivate365.com, and just take a screenshot, and we can take a look, and I can give you some suggestions regarding the existing lighting that you might have in your office or studio. So go ahead and do that. Second, think about investing in at least one key light, and that could be a light panel. It could be a ring light. Those items will be listed in the comments below. So really start considering about doing that. And then as you advance more into more complex lighting schemes, think about your brand, and maybe you might want to do the Philips light bars, for the back. Maybe you want to do the Philips Go to help illuminate some of the wall back there, or even some LED strip lighting or light bars or anything like that. Just whatever's going to enhance the look of your set will greatly increase the look and feel and credibility of your stream. When you're in front of the camera.
Yeah, and but in an effort to get people like getting up right now to get out there and take action to start this process, one light that they can focus on would be that front light, right? Don't you think, Rick?
Yeah.
And then they have all these tools to refer to figure out which one they want. Yeah. And of course, they have this very generous session that you will give them. Put in Light and Shine in the comment section. And I just want to wrap up by saying, there you have it. Our takeaways, tips, tools, and action. You can reach Rick at captivate365.com. You can reach me at Christine at jadeforallseasons.com. And thank you so much for tuning into our Waist Up Wardrobe podcast today. Join us next week as we meet here at the same time, 11:30 every Thursday. Next week, we'll be talking about accessorizing for the camera. Everything you need to know about what accessories to wear, including jewelry and other accessories, and how much is too much. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. And please tune in next week at 11:30 and tell a friend, because we would love to reach as many people as we possibly can, because the virtual world is not going away anytime soon. See you next time.